I plan to become very wealthy through property, and I plan to do this using a 4-stage process. You see, I crossed £1 million in net worth by the age of 32, and I've spent the last year studying and mapping out a way in which I will get to £10 million over the next few years. It's my personal belief that there are 4 stages to doing this, so let's start with the first one. So the first stage, which of course is number 1, is going to be earn. First of all, you need some kind of cash flow. And I don't care what people say about all money out deals in property. When you're doing property, yes, there are going to be some deals which are really good and all money out, but there are always going to be some costs incurred. You're never going to have a full transaction all the way through with no cost. Whether that's costs as small as driving to viewings, whether it's going to be covering your solicitor costs during the purchase process of buying that house, whether it's paying a builder, whether it's covering the holding costs during the refurbishment process. You get the idea. Costs will come up in property, so starting with no money or no cash flow is a sure way to end up with no money, no properties and no cash flow. So you need some kind of cash flow. When I say the first stage is earn, I don't mean having a job or making a salary. I kind of mean building a skill or a business that allows you to generate further income. Ideally one where you can control your earning potential. Yes, if you do have a successful career or you make really good money, then you should lean into that. But for most people, the way of increasing their income is a different vehicle. For me, this came from property. I started out by sourcing property deals for other investors. I was starting to flip houses, and then of course I built a portfolio of buy-to-lets as well. And for you, this could be anything. It could be sales, marketing, freelancing, starting some form of business, anything where you have the ability to increase your income and control the growth of that income. The key to this stage is to build a high income skill or start a high income business. The goal is to start earning way more than you need to live on so that you have this surplus of cash to invest later on. If right now you doubled your income, okay, how would that impact how quickly you're able to buy properties and build wealth? You know, assuming that you didn't go ahead and increase all your living expenses, well, I'm pretty sure to say it'd have a massive impact. I know it sounds simplistic, but just picture this for a second. You start a sourcing business. You source just 2 properties per month and charge £4,000 per deal. That is £8,000 in revenue before expenses. And remember, this is a service-based business, so expenses are low when you don't have a team. So you could potentially live off of £3,000 per month, go full-time in property and have £3,000 to £5,000 of an additional income that you can put aside towards property purchases. But remember, you've got to pay tax. So it won't be that full £5,000 in savings, but still enough to make a massive life change. And trust me when I say I know plenty of other investors who are sourcing 5 deals plus every single month. So they'll be banking, well over £10,000 a month that they can put towards building a property portfolio. And many of them do exactly that. If you can generate excess cash like that and stack it on the side, it may still not be enough to build a full portfolio, but it is giving you something to work with. And that leads me to stage number 2. So the second step of this process is to increase, okay? For most investors, the biggest problem to solve is capital. In fact, I have tons of investors who come to me and tell me that their goal is to get 10 buy-to-lets over the next 5 years, yet they have just 50 grand in capital. Now, 50 grand is a decent amount of money, don't get me wrong, but how are you going to turn that into 10 properties? You can't. Now, you might say to me, well, Justin, I know how I'm going to do this. I'm going to be doing the buy, refurbish, refinance strategy, and I've got this solved. I'm just going to keep recycling my capital round and round and round. But the reality is, not every deal will be all money out. In fact, most of them will have hidden surprises, or they're going to have costs that will require you to leave in 10 to 15 grand after each property refinance. So most investors haven't even considered the fact that they are going to be running out of money. And they're going to probably do that after 2 or 3 buy, refurbish, refinance deals if they're starting with 50 grand. Okay, if you're starting with less, obviously you're going to hit that sooner. And this is where you need to focus on increasing your capital pot, or our loan facilities. Enter the main 3 options that you have to increase your capital. Number 1 is to flip properties to increase your capital pot. Number 2 is to raise capital from private investors to use towards these deals. And number 3 is to find joint venture partners. Now, I won't go into these in any further detail as I have covered these in other videos. And my only caveat to increasing your money by using these strategies is that if you already earn an obscene amount of money from your cash flow business or from your career, then you could potentially skip this stage. But when I say obscene, that's probably like if you're earning high 5-figure months or high 6-figure monthly income. If you are under that, then I think you should always earn and then increase your income. And then we move on to stage 3. So stage 3 is going to be to invest our money. Now, this part is the part that most of us get excited about. It's taking that hard-earned money, increasing it, and now investing it into properties. Now, this is where we need to be really efficient. Taking a sum of money and tying it up into one property for 2 or 5 years is incredibly inefficient and not a good way of investing money into property. It might seem time efficient and least risky, but I encourage you to really think about the ROI here. ROI being return on investment. How much money are you making on your money? How much money is tied up in that property? Here's an example. Let's say that you have £75,000 in capital and you take a large portion of that and invest it into a turnkey property. Let's say you buy it for 150,000. 50,000 of that is your deposit. It's your stamp duty. It's your solicitor's fees. You get the picture. And let's say that you only make 8% on your money. That's only £4,000 a year. You can't touch the 50 grand that's been invested, yet it's only making you £333 per month, which is £4 grand a year. Yes, that is better than having it just sitting there in the bank. And yes, that is the right decision if you genuinely don't have time available to do a more complex strategy because of your work or what have you. Or if you genuinely have so much money, it's growing out of your ears, right? Okay, those are fine examples. But if you give me that same £50,000 in capital, I'm not only gonna make just 8% on that money, I'm gonna turn that money round 2 or 3 times a year. And I'm gonna do that during stage 2, which is increasing that money. So I might even do a couple of flips with it. I might create 100% return on it over the year, then invest 100,000 as part of stage 3 into buy, refurbish, refinance deals that offer 30% returns on investment. Ultimately, you want to grow the following skills. The first one being just be a great deal finder. Okay, you need to find great opportunities. Number 2, negotiating money off a deal, okay, which is one of the highest leverage skills that you can have and that you can learn. And then number 3, be efficient at the BRR process, running refurb teams, refinances, etc. Once we've got good at stage number 3, investing, well, number 4 is the most exciting one. Number 4 is going to be to compound that money. So you've earned the money, and earning money usually always requires like a fair bit of your time, a fair amount of time input. You've then obviously increased the money, which again requires a lot of actions, a lot of things to do, and a lot of your time once again. Then you've invested that money to become more hands-off. You put time in, but eventually you get more hands-off. And now you're going to reap the rewards, which is compounding. This is when your money starts multiplying without you having to do anything. Your assets are now producing an income, and that income is being reinvested to buy more assets, causing your wealth to grow exponentially. In property, this looks like the following: using your rental income to buy more properties, refinancing properties throughout the journey, and then using that equity to buy more properties, and then rolling your profits from flips into more flips and more buy-to-let. The compounding effect, honestly, is insane. But you have to be in this for the long term. 5 years, 10 years, or 20 years plus. If you can stay disciplined and keep investing your profits, well, your wealth will grow at a ridiculous pace. Now, if you are still here watching this video, then here are 3 bonus tips for you. I want to reward you being here. Number 1 is to reduce your timeline. If you want 10 properties in 5 years, you need to ask yourself, what would I have to do in order to do that in 3 years instead of the 5 years? So focus on overcoming your bottlenecks and reducing your timeline. Number 2 is to always think about how you can buy your time back. Stop wasting 6 months waiting to solve a problem or a question. Buy your time back. Buy the knowledge or buy the experience in some way. And this is exactly what wealthy people do. Number 3 is turn your capital around 2 to 3 times per year. What do I mean by this? Okay, I think you've got 3 options, right? Let's say if you had that 50 grand in capital and you're thinking, what do I do with it? Well, I gave you the 3 main options. You can buy a turnkey buy-to-let investment and tie up all that money for a small amount of return. You can alternatively do a BRR project, buy, refurbish, refinance, get majority of that money out and make a better return. Or the final option is you can actually try to flip that. Try to not just make 8% returns or 30% returns, how can you make 50 or 100% returns? If you get yourself a bigger capital pot, then you're going to be able to go further on this journey. So those are the 4 stages: earn, increase, invest, and compound. If you're just getting started, focus on earning and increasing your income. If you're already making good money, then focus on obviously increasing it. And if you're very busy, then focus just on investing it and compounding it. This is how the rich get rich in property. It's how easy it can be, but it's important not to overcomplicate it. Now, I'm going to be documenting my journey to going from 1 million to 10 million and so on. So if you want to see how I do it, follow along, subscribe, and drop your questions in the comments box. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.